The whole meeting, please rise for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Bill Carlos, Second Ward.
Michael Safone, Fourth Ward.
You wanna Stefan?
He's gonna unmute himself.
Yeah, Stefan, you have to unmute yourself. Maybe not.
He's got his hand up.
Ann Shershen's here, Stefan
Yeah.
Krakauer's here,
Ann Shershen, Sixth Ward.
John Basil,
Felicia Salvatore, Town Clerk.
There, you're
John
in.
Basil, Town Supervisor. There you
There
go.
you go.
Welcome, everybody. On tonight's agenda, we have just one presentation besides committee reports, and that's the Manor Hill Community Project. And at this time, I'd ask them to come up and present. This project was on the board probably 3 or 4 years ago, and it's coming back to life. We asked them to come back and bring it to the board because some of the board members, I think Stefan and Amberger, were not even on the board when it was here, so we asked them to bring it back so everybody know what it was.
Yeah, and it was the one meeting I missed.
Was it?
Yeah?
Wisconsin.
No, India.
Oh, okay.
Stefan, can you see that?
Yeah, yep, now I can.
Zoom in so we can see it.
If you want me to move it, I can move it.
No, you're good.
No, it's fine.
Yep, that's good.
Is that okay? Good.
Yep, thank you.
Good evening. My name is Christian Paggi. I'm the engineer for the applicant for this project, Manor Hill Community. First of all, thank you to the supervisor and the board for hearing us tonight. As Supervisor Baisley mentioned, we're simply here to provide an update on the project. It's been several years since we were in front of you last, which was 2019, for a similar update. This project goes back to 2017 when we initially submitted the petition for rezone, and there's been a lot that's been happening since then. Just quickly to run through, in 2018, the project was put on pause because of the existing mobile home park. Well, before I get into it, why don't I just give a brief overview of what the project is. So the project proposes now 16 manufactured home sites adjacent to an existing mobile home park. The existing mobile home park is Manor Hill off of Van Wagner Road. There are currently 65 in that range mobile homes on the existing park. This project proposes immediately adjacent to that park, again, 16 additional manufactured home sites with a new access at North Grand Avenue. So that access will provide a secondary access to the existing mobile home park as well. It will be a connection. So they'll be directly connected. It'll provide secondary access for emergency access to the existing park and the proposed park. Just a little bit of the history. Again, we were before the board in 2017 to propose 22 units that since went to planning board to initiate seeker. The project was paused due to an existing septic system failure of the existing mobile home park. That was in 2018. We then worked with the town to establish a sewer tenancy agreement for an emergency connection of that park. This board was fundamental in establishing that sewer tenancy agreement. The proposed park area property is within the town sewer district, but the existing park was just outside of the district, so that required the sewer tenancy. So as part of those improvements, the existing mobile home park, they completely reinstalled or replaced their sewer collection system and created a connection through the subject property to an existing manhole off of North Grand Avenue for that connection. That design and that installation did contemplate connection of this future park expansion. So that stands ready for connection once this project is able to get off the ground and be able to be built. That installation through the process of the sewer tenancy agreement and the installation, that takes us to about early 2020. And we all know what happened right after February, March of 2020. So we were trying to get this project some traction right around the time that COVID started. We were able to continue to work through issues with, or work through the seeker and site plan with the planning board. Through that process, we ended up going to the Army Corps of Engineers twice for a permit for two different layouts, one for an 18-unit layout. And we ended up going back after we obtained the permit for a reduced number of 16 units to reduce the impacts to the wetlands and to reduce the magnitude of one of the variances that we are going to need. One of the variances is an open space variance. The requirement is 10% of the site area is required to be reserved for open space. With the reduction down to 16 units, we're able to provide, I believe, close to 90% of that requirement. So it's a much less significant variance that's required now. Another variance that we are going to need is just a side yard setback, which is to a setback that's required to residential areas. Mm-hmm. We're providing the required setback to the residential area behind the park. Was it the Grandview subdivision, I believe?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But we are not providing. We're providing, which is the setback is 50 feet. The setback to the existing park, we're providing 30 feet, and we felt that 30 feet from one park to the other seemed adequate. So we are providing the required setback to the Grandview subdivision. The only relief we're looking for is the separation to, again, the existing park. So we are, I believe, now at a point with the planning board after this long process to where the major significant issues have been addressed. We have made a submission of all this recent materials. We just recently obtained the second permit from the Army Corps back in February. There was a traffic study that was performed that took about a year to get the results also. So we just obtained that in, I believe, in March. So that information has been submitted to the planning board. We are just trying to schedule and coordinate a sit down with town staff and consultants to make sure that all the outstanding issues have been addressed adequately, with the intent to get in front of the planning board once again to make so that the planning board can make a secret determination. At which point, it's our understanding that once that secret determination is made, we can come back before this board for you to consider the rezone petition. And then just procedurally, after that, we would be in a position to go back to the planning board for conditional site plan approval and obtain those few variances that we need. So hopefully that wasn't too long-winded, but if there's questions, again, our intent was just to bring the board up to speed. Some of the board members, there's some new board members, introduce the project to them, make sure that there's, we're providing a forum for open dialogue if there's concerns, since this was initially, brought to the board in 2017. If anything, it seems that there's more of a need for affordable type housing than even in 2017. So this project seems more relevant than ever. But again, if there's any questions, that's why we're here. And hopefully we'll be back here in a couple of months.
Well, Chris, and since the last time you've been here, a number of residents on Ray Boulevard have contacted me. So if we could, I'd like to meet out there with you.
Absolutely.
And walk the property so I can answer some of their questions. Mostly it's about screening and whatnot and how close you're actually coming to their property lines. Mm-hmm. So I'd like to take a look at that and see if we could mitigate those before you guys come back.
Absolutely.
So I'll reach out to you either if you stick around after the meeting or I'll call you later tonight or tomorrow.
Sure. Either way, I can stick around.
Okay.
All right.
Being this is a new plan, I think you made a comment. You haven't been in front of the planning board yet?
So we were directed at the last planning board meeting, which was, again, in 2019. Don't come back until you have all these issues resolved so we can conclude seeker, because we had been in front of them multiple times. And there was a few sticking points that we had to get addressed. We think that we've addressed those, and we've submitted back in April for the consultants to review and to set up that staff meeting. The planning board asked us to have a staff meeting, with the consultants and staff prior to going back to the planning board. We're still trying to get that coordinated, and hopefully we have that coordinated soon.
Yeah, I
So,
remember, Christian, one of the biggest issues was the wetland. I was just
Exactly.
wondering if our wetland expert has looked at it to even decide if it's up to the standards of where we think, because I don't even remember where it was on the plan.
so
Yeah.
this new plan was actually a result of the coordination with the town's wetland consultant. There's far less impacts to the wetlands, and if I can, right here. So the wetlands were this whole area. So the only portion of the wetland that we're now disturbing is just for the road, really. This small portion here and then the road. This blue area is wetland mitigation area that we are basically increasing the size of this wetland to make up for the road crossing. The plan that you guys had seen in 2019, there was 2 units here also. Actually, the 2 units were here, I'm sorry. There's 2 units here, and we're proposing wetland mitigation area on this property over here in the abandoned septic area. So to lessen
But you're putting a road right through the wetland?
Correct.
Does our ordinance allow that?
It's a federally regulated wetland, so the way that the town's wetland ordinances are worded, basically they defer to the Army Corps of Engineers. We will still need to obtain a wetland permit from the town, but it dovetails the Army Corps of Engineers permit. So we've been through the review process with the Army Corps. We've obtained the permit for that crossing, and have throughout that process been in contact and coordinating this with the town's wetland consultant. This rendition is actually a product of direct input from the town's wetland consultant.
Any Army
And
Corps?
why is it that you're not providing the open space required, not even the minimum? I mean, with residential, to me, open space has value. There's a reason why there's requirements like that. So to look for a variance for open space, to me, it's problematic. Especially, it
So-
would probably make sense to do a little bit less on there than to do less open space, especially given the impact on the wetland.
So the impacts to the wetland have been reduced to the point where we're only impacting for the road, for the access. And we are impacting, I believe, less than 1/4 of an acre of the wetland and providing a 1-to-1 mitigation area. So we're creating,
How big is wetland?
the whole wetland is, I believe, 30,000 square feet. It's not a large wetland. It's not state regulated. It's not mapped.
Is that a little bit over an acre?
No, it's under an acre.
All right, so you're doing 1/4 of an acre, so that's more than 25% of the wetland. And then the mitigation was that blue?
We're less than 1/4 of an acre. Let me get these actual numbers.
So the mitigation that you're doing is that blue area that's shaded around?
Yes, that is correct.
Can
Does that
I?
mic work? Does the mic work? Because he could use the mic.
There's no way I'm gonna read that.
Christian, if you turn on that mic, it should work so you could walk with it. It should.
No, he said odd because it was tipping over.
So the blue area is where you're adding wetland. Is the white area in the middle of that actual wetland, or what is that?
This area is all, the existing wetland is denoted by this delineation here, these flags. Where did that go? Yep, it goes down to here. And up, there we go. Yeah, there we go. It's hard to see on this plan. So this area is the wetland area. The blue area, yes, is the area that's going to be mitigated. That's new wetland that we're creating. This green area is the wetland that we are disturbing. The other portion of that we are disturbing is for a stormwater bioretention area. So it's arguably going to continue to be wetland, but we're taking it into account for our mitigation area. So again, all the area that we are disturbing, we are mitigating 1-to-1. So that blue area is at least as large as the area that we are disturbing.
And units, lots 11 and 12, are those in the wetland or not in the wetland?
They are outside of the wetland. The wetland, the final wetland, well, the existing wetland area is here.
Okay.
So we'll be enlarging the wetland in that
And
area.
how effective is the wetland mitigation? I mean, adding wetland on the fringe of something when you put a road right through the middle. It just seems like that's not really, it just doesn't seem like it would be effective.
So there's a connection, we're gonna be connecting them hydraulically. There'll be pipe connections so that hydraulically, right now, hydraulically, the water comes in, this is the high side of the site, and then runs through the site. And again, there's not much water that does run through this site, so we don't anticipate, too much. It's not like there's cattails and things growing through here. So it's just really a low wet area. So again, it's hydraulically connected. These areas will be excavated out. They'll be planted with wetland plantings. It'll have to be maintained, according to the permit. So this was all done in accordance with the Army Corps of Engineer guidelines. Their engineers have reviewed it, have put their input in. Again, the town's wetland consultant was directly involved in this design. This was her preferred design.
And who's gonna maintain the wetland over time?
The owner, the property owner.
Is there a bond that would be issued for that?
I don't believe so,
I don't think so either, no.
but it's part of their site plan approval, and it's part of their permit. So if it's not maintained, they would be in violation of that. The permit could be revoked, and the site plan, they could be in violation of their site plan.
And this land currently is undeveloped, or is something on it right now?
It's currently undeveloped.
That's it. I just think sometimes we're getting to the point in our town's development where pieces that haven't been developed, it's probably for a reason, and some of them just don't seem to me like they should be. But I mean, to me, I think there's just too much on that site.
Christian, those two mobile homes that you're adding, what's to the right of them?
Right here,
Yeah,
this is the existing park. So there's a mobile home right here. There's a mobile home right here. This is the end of the existing road. There's a mobile home right here. This was the old septic field. And the existing park is basically right through here.
So the prefab homes, are you going to be putting them in on the site, or will people be bringing in their own?
They will be purchased by the property owner, and they will be setting them, installing the concrete pads, and then
Okay,
selling them in place.
okay. And so the people who live there will have the option to buy them, or are they going to be rentals?
I believe they will be purchased.
Okay.
Yeah,
And then obviously you have to pay the rent for the pad you're sitting on.
correct. Yep.
Okay.
and now those lots, for a mobile home park, they're usually standard size. Are they standard size lots or smaller than normal?
To the town's code or just in general?
To the town's-
Compared to a traditional mobile home
To a
park?
traditional home, because they look real close, like especially the ones that are right in the top there. I didn't know if there's a standard code to,
So building code requires 15 feet separation. These are double that. So these are laid out to town code. And the lots, I think, are more generous than you typically. I think they look larger. These units are large. These are
Yeah.
double wide units. They're gonna be nicer homes. So you could, if they're 28 feet wide, I believe, and 64 feet long. They're large units.
And we only require 15 feet between them, not to the lot lines, to 15?
The lot line building code requires the 15 feet. Let's see. Code requires 10
Okay.
to the lot line. So
Okay.
The town code requires 10?
10 feet to the lot line. So there's a minimum of 20 feet being provided. And we're providing more than that because they're going to be, what the dashed line is basically your building envelope where it could be, where the unit could be set, and we're within that. So.
Anybody got any other questions? I'd like to sit down with you and actually look at it up front and close.
Absolutely.
As opposed to this, because I think I still have a handful of questions about the whole wetland area and how that's gonna pan out. I can't wrap my head around it right here, looking at it and discussing it. I still look at those two separate ones and didn't understand why they just weren't taken out of the picture and added on to, a wetland mitigation or just a green, a green space as opposed to just sticking, squeezing two extra ones in and trying to get all we can out of it. But,
I completely agree, Jay.
yeah, I think we could sit down and, talk this through a little further and look at the connections to North Grand and stuff.
Okay.
It does seem that area, if you were gonna do mitigation to try to actually mitigate the damage to the wetland, that area would make a lot of sense. And I do think people need open space, whether it's like a small playground or just grass where the kids could play or whatever.
So there will be open lawn space here, and we've talked about coordinating with the county about potentially having some sort of access to the rail trail that runs directly behind here.
Is that a steep slope going down there though?
It is, yep.
That's right.
So if there would be any sort of connection, direct connection, it would be in the form of stairs or something. But otherwise it would be just a walking path down to North Grand. But
And the access to North Grand, is that steep too?
right, the steepest part is right through here, but we have a grading plan. It's not overly steep, so, and we were able to grade it within this 50-foot wide flag portion of the property, so everything meets town code. So.
All right.
Relative to the wetlands, was there anything specific that is concerning?
Just the whole setup, the way we're going through the middle of it and just mitigating if there's a better way around it. And, to see those other two squeezed in, if there's a way to go around and, not necessarily just save the wetland because we're taking a piece away, maybe to increase what's around it so it doesn't get, it looks pretty close to those two mobile homes next to the wetland for possible contamination. So as I think Stefan stated, our amount of land gets smaller and smaller. So to be that close to the wetland, and we're already cutting through the middle of it to try to mitigate something on the sides of it, to try to expand, that is more or less what I'm sort of trying to look at. It's hard to look at, just this one little.
So there's no way around the wetland that just bisects the whole property. And I believe if we were disturbing 1/10 of an acre, we wouldn't even need a permit from the Army Corps. We're disturbing 9,000 square feet, which is just under a 1/4 acre. So I think maybe a site visit would be helpful.
Yeah.
So that you guys could see really what this wetland is and what the impacts that we're proposing and what type of mitigation we're proposing, and have a better handle on what exactly is happening here. Because again, the Army Corps had no concerns with even the initial submission that we had. There was double the impacts to the wetland, and there was 2 units proposed here, and the Army Corps was happy with it, because what you're doing is you're taking out whatever wetland you're taking out, you're putting new in that, and you're going to be required to maintain it. So they see it as better than what's existing. So as long as you're maintaining, hydrology, that's their biggest concern, and then maintaining the quality of the ecology there. So the fact that you're going to be mitigating it and you're going to be required to maintain that, they see that as a win. So, but I'm happy to continue to look at this.
The wetland, the open space, it's also sometimes just jamming too much into the project. And the Army, I don't know where they live, but we live here. So I just think we should try to do better. And I think that, what Jay had mentioned, if those two units aren't in there, I think you could do better as far as wetland, the open space, and the overall project.
Yeah, Christian?
It also gets to a point where the project becomes economically infeasible.
Yeah,
If-
I think our best bet, my best bet is to go out and actually
Yeah.
physically look. It's been, I think before the project started, I was out there probably 6 years, 7 years ago.
Yeah.
You
I'm
know.
happy to meet
Yeah.
anybody and all out there. Like this project started at 22 units, and that was under an understanding of the code. We sat down with the town planning department, and
Well,
that was Neil was here. Neil Wilson was here during that process, and
but, let me just stop you there. I mean, this was, your first proposal came to us, we sent it to the planning board for a
Right.
review.
Mhm.
So the review had to come back to us to say if it was a good plan.
right.
Okay, so I mean, we didn't say, you know, it's a definite, we're gonna improve this. We like the concept.
Understood.
We like the units. But, you know, the count is definitely gonna come back to us to make the decision of what we think is appropriate. So, you know, let's not go crazy and say, I'm not gonna overstep and say you were gonna say what I would think you were gonna say, but I'm under the belief you were gonna say whatever the planning board agreed and we were gonna agree with. That's not
Oh,
always
no,
the
that-
case, so.
yeah, that was
I
not-
just wanna be clear on that when we
Absolutely
sent
not.
it, so.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. What I was going to say was just this project was evaluated by the owner under the assumption or the belief that we were going to have, he was going to be able to obtain 22 units. So that's
How
what
many
they.
units? 23, you said?
22.
22.
So there was a discrepancy in the town's code as far as how you can lay these out. And when we originally started, it was understood that basically the least restrictive requirement was how you were allowed to lay it out. And so that's how it was laid out. That's actually how it was presented to the town board. We went back to planning. It was switched to the most restrictive we had to adhere to. That brought it down to around 18 units. And then between further discussions with the planning board, their concerns with the wetland and open space, we reduced it to 16. So again, I'm not saying that anybody agreed to anything. We know that we're here asking, you know, for you to bless this. So there's nothing was written in stone. So my only intent was to just give you guys some context to where this has been. That's all.
And Christian, I will say a positive to this is the fact that it's home ownership.
Right.
Which is under, and they're not $500,000, $750,000 homes, I assume. So that is a positive piece, but you still, you know, it's a tight spot. If I'm not mistaken, it falls off on both sides, so I really want to go out and look at it.
Absolutely.
Again.
Yep.
Again, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the last time I was up there, you guys were actually still doing the sewer work up there.
Yeah, it's
So
been a while.
It's been a while.
I'm just not sure if we lose 2 more lots if this project goes away. And if that's the board is okay with that, then that's, you know, I just don't know. 'Cause,
Sometimes things might not work out, sometimes they would. I mean, the board can't focus on the developer's profitability necessarily. We're looking at the project, so we're not trying to make you lose money, but that can't be, the idea that we kind of ignore open space and wetland and whatever other issues that we may raise because of profitability isn't really, I don't think that's necessarily our focus. Again, we're not trying to hurt you, but the argument that if you don't give me more, we're just going to go away, maybe, but I probably think.
It's got a lot of factors with it. I think we need to look
Yeah.
at it closer. At least I feel I do.
Okay, so we'll, Chris and I'll talk to Jay and I'll get some timeframes he's available and we'll send out an email to the board, talking to you. We'll set up something and whoever can come, can come.
sounds good.
Fair enough?
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Thank you guys for your time. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
What's
And-
up
and
there
your
now?
comments.
Just open space?
Yep.
It's vacant right now, yeah. Other than the sewer line that runs right through the middle of it, but that's about it. So if you were to walk out there, it looks like there's a road that's been cut, and that's the sewer line. So,
Great. Thanks, Christian.
thank you guys, appreciate it.
Great.
Thank you.
That brings us to our committee reports. Finance.
Nothing to report.
Just, I will add the finance that, I did confirm with Jessica that she'll be here at, our regular town board meeting in February. We have our final audit. We had one letter coming back from the one of the attorneys to complete the audit, so that went back today, so our audit is complete, almost 6 months ahead of what's been taking the last few years, so she should be able to present that July 5th meeting. Technology?
Yeah, we had, the past month, we had nearly 10,000 users on the website. And the top 4 pages were the transfer station, online payments, grievance information, and receiver taxes. Then under our Gov Delivery email list, we have added another 81 new subscribers. We have nearly 7,000 subscribers for that. And lots of things have been completed. The hardware for the internet setup for the remote locations, that's out at pump stations and the water pump stations, has been completed, so now that we can talk to them remotely and get reports back from them remotely. And then our network has been updated to accommodate the new IP cloud-based door lock system. And then on the website, there's been 3 new pages added, one for the grievance day, and then postings for planning and water reports, and then a page for the Earth Day. And under emails, the hybrid server has been set up, and they're testing the remote mailboxes. And we've also been working on getting Laserfish and evaluating the system and using this to copy our maps and way of storing them. And then Zoom security updates have been run for the software for the iPads and the laptops.
Recreation?
Recreation, we have a lot of things going on. Recreation is doing a lot of paving. Projects are underway. They paved the lower portion of Greenvale. Wi-Fi is being installed at Greenvale. We're still taking,
Wi-Fi is up and running.
Oh, it is up and running,
It's up and
okay.
running, yeah.
and we're still taking, summer camp is still taking registrations. We have a number of things going on. Their senior citizens are holding a baby diaper drive to benefit a local nonprofit organization called CareNet. And donations can be made to the senior center or town hall through June 29th. We have Magic at Greenvale Park on Tuesday the 20th at 7 p.m. featuring Steve Johnson, Family Variety Show. Bring a lawn chair or a blanket. We have pickleball lessons going on Saturday, June 24th and Saturday, July 8th, 10 to 12 at Hagen Park, 40 Millbank Road. It's $15 a session, and you can register at Town of Poughkeepsie, townrec.com. Beginning July 18th, we have Youth League golf lessons, ages 5 to 15 at Greenvale Park, and the cost is $32 to $65. And again, register at poughkeepsietownrec.com. In August, we have a STEM summer break camp. So these are for ages 7 to 11, and you can register for that online as well. It's Monday through Friday, session 1 or session 2, just $35. And we're pretty busy in the town.
Mike, as you said, the STEM camp fills in the void for the last week of camp where we usually have our day campus closed, and that'll be covered through funding that one of our local businesses gave us a few months ago for programs. She did a STEM camp earlier in the season and went very well. The Wi-Fi hooked up at Greenville, as Mike stated, is up and running, and the Wi-Fi was also, the Poughkeepsie Library got a grant and was able to do a couple parks, so it was really at no cost to us to do that. Fire advisory?
I got nothing.
Nothing to report.
Infrastructure, Mr. Carlos?
Nothing to report.
Personnel?
Nothing to report.
No, we do, I will report, we do have an opening currently in our building department. We're looking for a building inspector. As we all know, Mr. Sishan retired. There is no list out, so it'd be a provisional appointment. So if somebody does have building experience throughout their career, they can apply. They have to get okay through the county. It'd be a provisional appointment, but that's the route we'll be going with that. And the police department is also looking for a couple dispatchers over in the police department. The same thing, the list has been exhausted in the police department also, so that would be a provisional appointment waiting for a test also. Building consolidation, as we have stated, the working group has been formed. Councilman Safone met with the working group for the first time the other day. The members of the group are posted on the website. A copy of the meeting, it was a Zoom meeting, is also on the website. So if people want to look at it, Mike will be the liaison going through that. He's not the chair, he's just the liaison, and he'll work with the chief and also Mike Welty going through the process.
Yeah, we actually have a walkthrough this Saturday at IBM Building at 8:30 in the morning. So the working group will be meeting there.
Do you have another meeting scheduled after that or no?
We're gonna wait until I meet everybody at that Saturday.
Okay.
Before we schedule anything.
Mike, who's in the working group?
I'll give you a list of everybody that's
Yeah,
on
we
it.
sent everybody a list.
Is
out.
it 5?
7 now.
Seven.
It
Seven?
was 7. It was 8 people applied. 7 out of 8 we put on the list. The
Okay.
one that didn't apply was somebody running for office. We felt we want to keep it nonpartisan altogether. So everybody that applied, I sent it out to all the board members. All the board members got a chance to look at it, review it, send back they're okay for all of them. You know, it's quite an array of people. Peter Finelli from our planning board is on it, and
Jim Challey, our
Jim
former
Challey,
zoning
who was
board.
our zoning board chair for years, is on it. And
We have
the
an
rest of them all.
architect, we have a construction contractor, quite a bit of
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah, there's an accountant on there. One has a lot of construction, there's a person who's an architect.
Good.
Yeah. Yep, we received a grant last week for $12,500 for the Hometown Hero Project to maintain the project and add flags and banners as they go on. And we will also be putting banners around the War Memorial for each branch of service. So that's to keep that project up. Our banners are on like their 4th year and they're still holding up strong, I think, due to the fact that they're in not a high speed area, so they're not getting beat up. So I think they're gonna last quite a while, and we haven't lost one yet, but now we will have the funding to help move those forward. And does I have anything else? I think that was all. Oh, we've completed the security system on the doors in Town Hall to make, all the offices will now be locked, and access will be through for the public through windows, which we've had in place before, but as we told all the town employees, now they carry their key fobs around with them. With just the way society has changed, it's a shame we've had to go to this, but it makes Town Hall a lot more secure. And that was paid through, American Rescue Plan money. That was all I have. Does anybody have anything else? Nope. I will say, Mike, your diaper collection will end up at a baby shower. The seniors are gonna have a baby shower.
Okay.
So then they'll donate it. So I have to say the seniors are a very active group. They've had a lot going on down there. And it's just amazing that they want to give back. It's not just keeping the seniors active, it's keeping the seniors involved. Whenever recreation has a project going on, whether it was the Easter egg hunt, you know, different things, they're always willing to bag, pack, or help recreation go through with that stuff. They're always leaning forward. They've also started a new program down there. It's for seniors, reaching out to other seniors to make sure the contact is made. So
Good.
they're doing the same thing down there. Anybody have anything else? No. Making a motion to suspend the rules.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
And ask anybody that speaks, please keep the 3 minutes. Doreen?
Thank you, Jay. So I'm glad you guys asked a lot of questions about the wetlands, because some of the information given out, like for example, that it's an Army Corps permit, and you know the town is not issuing the permit, but the Army Corps doesn't require any wetland buffers. The town's wetland ordinance does. So that's something to be taken into consideration. So does any disturbance of the wetland also include the wetland buffers that are regulated by the town? The other thing to keep in mind is that wetland mitigation is often unsuccessful. There's tons of literature out there about that. And, you know, it's just hard to replicate the functions that are, you know, naturally in place. And again, it often fails. So 1-to-1 is really not a great ratio. And when he said that the town wetland consultant was okay with the plan, but yeah, how was it presented? Like, you know, we have to have this many, units on the site, or else it's not going to be successful. So you have to work, you know, within these bounds. So that's something else to take into consideration. And the wetland disturbance, according to the plan that was posted, the wetland disturbance is 17,000 square feet, and that's definitely more than a tenth of an acre. So there was, I have to go back and listen to what the consultant there said, but there was something about, well, you only need a permit if it's a tenth of an acre, and that's 17,000 square feet. So again, I'm not exactly sure. I'm going to be looking at this. I'll be sending some questions or concerns to the town board. So if you guys meet, you can keep those in mind. But you know, and the other thing is, when he said about, well, they'd be in violation of their permit if they don't maintain it. Well, let me assure you that the Army Corps is not going to care after the project is completed. They're not going to come back and check on this permit. They're just not going to. It's too small. They're understaffed, and they really concern, about really large projects. So it's up to the town board to police this. And, if you're serious and you did ask some good questions tonight, about the wetlands, well, then there's, I think a lot more work to be done. And, you guys are the final approval. So a lot of times, when you say, oh, it's going to the planning board from here, you can't count on what the planning board's going to do. If you're really concerned, you need to put assurances in there that this will be done, regardless of what the conditions the planning board might put on them. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Doreen.
Doreen.
Anybody else? Make a motion to resume the rules?
Second.
All those in favor?
Yes,
Aye.
Aye, whoop,
I'd like to comment.
go ahead.
Thank you very much. This is for the advisory committee. So it's Jeff Renahan and Ann Shershin. I think it was Jeff Kane who did mention, in speaking about his huge project, the Eastview one, in which we're going to have these EV stations. He assumed that the surge protections on the EV charging stations were UL rated. And, I'm strongly suggesting that people, that perhaps building inspector Mike, I'm sorry, I forgot who it was, Tim, should really check and investigate that to make sure that it can handle, high voltage grid line surges, because that would be really dumb not to have proper surge protection. And often these things need additional. They don't come with it. And I think that's what was actually posted by the company who you're going to be getting this equipment from. So that email is probably important when you see all the things that do not come with the equipment. And then, of course, the town would, be assuming liability unless, they have some other way of working that out. And the thing that really concerned me about the whole thing is that the grant, I think, that we received is for the placement of these EV stations that are in proximity to disadvantaged communities of multi-unit housing. So I'm thinking, well, how are these people going to afford these vehicles, these electric vehicles, and they're going to have the EV charging stations that don't have proper surge protection placed right next to them? It just didn't seem like a good combination. So there was that, and also we're still waiting for that telecom code update that was promised to the community last summer. And, with that, I'm not sure if you guys got the answer to the question that also Peter Finelli was interested in getting intelligently, is whether the OET Bulletin 56 that was published in 1999, I think is the most recent one, actually the chart that you can see on, what is that, page, not 72, but page 17 of 38. The chart says that we're really not supposed to be, in proximity to these antennae that are placed on Raymond Avenue, and are planned for, Winslow Gate Road, that are between 1900 and 3550 megahertz. You're not really supposed to be sit there within for 30 minutes or more. So signage needs to be there, and signage is not on the Raymond Avenue one for the public to stay clear, a certain distance from it if you're going to be there for more than 30 minutes.
Michelle,
So
can you wrap it up?
have you guys received a response from Cityscape on, you know, some engineer that isn't running out of time on his license to back this up?
Thank you, Michelle.
Have we gotten, no, that was a question. Have we heard word from Cityscape?
You're the first one to bring it up, Michelle. I would have to ask Mike.
Okay, all right, no,
Yep.
no, it was brought up before, but, and the last thing, Jay, I'm so glad that we have strong, short-term rental, code because of what Eric Adams said recently. You know, he suggested to city residents to, now, he said you can, open up your bedrooms to undocumented, immigrants and, you know, make these short-term rentals. And I think that was the reason why it came up for every single community around, the codes for short-term rentals. So the fact that you strengthened our short-term rental, code is probably a really smart thing.
Thank
So
you.
that's it.
Thank you, Michelle.
Mhm.
Have a good night. Anybody else?
You're welcome.
Motion to resume the rules?
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Town board adjourns at 7:49 PM. Thank you.